Decisive Moments written by Baharudin Yusuf Habibie. Preface. A number of books have been written on contemporary Indonesian political history, particularly with regard to the birth of the reform movement and the bowing out of President Suharto from the Indonesian political stage. These books, a number of them written by political actors, help us gain a valuable insight into the history of politics in Indonesia. But in reality, all of these books were primarily descriptive, drawing on various primary and secondary sources. The fact is, none of them fully revealed to us what really happened. The publication of this book, Decisive Moments, Indonesia's Long Road to Democracy, written by Baharudin Yusuf Habibie, the third president of Indonesia, is a useful complement to modern Indonesian political history. This is because Baharudin Yusuf Habibie was one of the key historical figures at the time the reform movement came into being. The events described in this book really happened and are recalled by the author from his personal own records and experiences. Records and experiences that have never before been revealed to the public. This valuable book does not contain embellishments or adornments, but state the facts as they really happened. Besides recalling the facts of history, the author also presents his analysis of what happened in Indonesia during the period covered by this book. He presents coherent and rational appraisals and explanations of the important decisions and measures taken written in the author's style of inner dialogue, a process by which the author weighs the pros and cons of every event and decision, calling upon his powers of rationality and his conscience. Many of the events described in this work are presented in dramatic style, in the author's own imitable language, so that reading this book is like reading a novel. With his background as a professional engineer and his experience as a central figure in Indonesian government for more than 2 decades, Baharudin Yusuf Habibie uniquely demonstrates how the important decisions and policies that were formulated during his time in government were based on models that he himself developed. These models served as his references in analyzing problems for determining actions in politics. Thus, none of his important decisions were ever made randomly, with the result that he was always able to perform his duties in a consistent and measured manner. All the actions he took and policies he adopted were firmly founded on his religious and cultural values that have molded his personality and guided him throughout his life. During his time in government, as President Baharudin Yusuf Habibie successfully guided Indonesia from totalitarianism to democracy. He saved the Indonesian nation and state from various threats described in details in this book, such as the danger of balkanization and civil war, real dangers that tore apart many farmer states in Eastern Europe. Consequently, it is no exaggeration to say that the reform process in Indonesia would not have proceeded as it did without the presence of Baharudin Yusuf Habibie. In this book, the author, as a key actor at the onset of reform, readily admits that he has only been able to provide a glimpse of what took place immediately prior to and during his presidency. He still retains thousands of pages of notes, and we can only hope that these will be translated into book form in the future. The facts that revelations contained herein only concern those moments that are considered decisive by the author, and which are capable of being made public without adversely affecting the continuing reform process in Indonesia. The information contained in this book is drawn primarily from the author's diary, which he has kept since he was young, and the reports he received prior to and during his presidency. The book's title, Decisive Moments, Indonesia's Long Road to Democracy, according to the writer, was chosen based on consideration that when he was a president, the writer realized that Indonesia was at the crossroad, a critical situation for which if he made a wrong policy or path, the situation could be leading up to a civil war or balkanization. He chose a process of accelerated evolution without total plan as an effort to save the nation from the critical situation. The writer had made a lot of unpopular decisions, either the irreversible like the one on East Timor, the independence of the Bank of Indonesia, etc., or the reversible ones. Those decisions were made fast by calculating the smallest possible risks. That was why the writer uses the title Decisive Moments. Meanwhile, the choice of the subtitle of The Long Road to Democracy was made because what had he done was a decisive part of Indonesian process of democratization, which is still and keeps on going until the accomplishment of what Indonesians aspire. This book, representing the partial diary of a significant historical player, will become an important source that will help us better understand the complex mosaic of the long and ongoing Indonesian history. With regard to structure, the book consists of two main parts. The substantive part is found in chapters 1 to 4, and these are complemented by a prologue and epilogue. Chapters 1 to 4 were written by the author himself, while the prologue and epilogue were written by a team of writers based on facts drawn from various sources as well as the opinions and analysis of other important players directly involved in the effort to bring about reform in Indonesia. Why is it only after more than 6 years since the end of his presidency that the writer has decided to publish this book? According to the writer, there are two reasons why this book is being published. First, the writer hoped that the publication of this book would help create a conducive environment for the transformation of the country into a democratic nation. Bearing in mind that much of the contents of the book could have caused problems if published earlier, the writer decided to bide his time and wait for the right moment for publication. He felt that this would best be done after the consolidation of democracy in Indonesia, as marked by the holding of national, central and local, direct leadership elections. Second, less than 1 month after completing his duties as president, the writer, together with the members of his family, established the Habibie Center.
Yeah.
An independent and non-political research institute founded as a vehicle to shepherd, together with his colleagues, the transformation of the nation into a democratic country. It was for this reason that the Habibie Center focused its attention on research and advocacy designed to uphold democratic life and human rights in Indonesia. Such were his hopes for the Habibie Center that the author decided to put off taking his wife to Germany for medical treatment for a number of months so as to ensure that the center was functioning as expected. It was the Habibie Center, through its unit PTHC Mandiri, that the author entrusted with to publish this book. This English version is a full translation of the Indonesian version, which has been launched in Jakarta in September 2006. To complete information for the readers, in this version, a little bit information about the Republic of Indonesia and its location among ASEAN, Asian, and Southeast Asian nations has been added. Some photos have also been changed with more informative ones. The writer would like to express his heartfelt thanks to all those who played a part in the bringing of this work to print, in particular to the editorial team consisting of A. Makmur Maka, Ahmad Watik Partiknya, Mustafa Kamil Ridwan, and the team of readers made up of Wardiman Joyonegoro, Abdul Malik Fajar, S.B. Judono, Dewi Fortuna Anwar, Haryanto Danutirto, Sofyan Effendi, Umar Juoro, who also provided valuable input for the prologue and epilogue. The author would like also to express his sincere gratefulness to Quraish Shibab, Riyaz Rashid, Hermawan K. Dipojono, Robert Elson, Bilfer Singh, and Hidayat Nur Wahid for their comments of this book. The writer's thanks also goes to all staff of the Habibie Center who have participated in preparing the publication of this book. This book has been published so as to provide a contribution to the body of Indonesian historical literature. The author will also wishes to ascertain how others read to it. By setting out his experiences in book form, the author also hopes to encourage other important actors to put their experiences and knowledge of this important period in the country's history into print so that many other perspectives may be opened to enrich our readings on awareness of Indonesian history, in particular the history of the Reform period. We are aware that this book is far from being a complete and perfect account of all that transpired during Indonesia's transition to democracy, and would welcome input from the reader so as to make improvements in subsequent editions. Thank you.
Okay. What is your name?
My name is Anindyah Asar Rahmadi, shortly IN.
Okay. Where do you study now?
I study on SMP. I study at SMP 1 Dukumba.
Junior High School 1, Bulukumba? What class are you now?
I am at 8-1.
8-1.
8th grade, yes.
Okay, thank you.